remakes is a huge thing right now, and it's if you look at a lot of the remakes, yes, a lot of them have been happening for the past 10 years. They seem to follow almost a similar formula, whether they're loyal to the original or not. They follow a higher budget. They seem to have the same level of gritty versus polish, a similar soundtrack. They use the same scared, jump scene tactics, or they always like one up the original in some way, whether it's making the antagonist tougher, bigger, or more unstoppable, more modernized. And but I think you're right. I think out of the main genres right now, this is probably one of the most prominent and recognizable that has a recurring, like it keeps coming back for different movies, different series, whatever, whether it's Conjuring, Annabelle, etc. Um, so I mean that says a lot to be that kind of a pillar now when there's so much going on and so many different versions and sequels and remakes and shit. I mean that's pretty significant. So I almost feel like we should get like a fucking 12-year-old on here that has never literally that has never seen movies like horror movies before a certain time. And
Yeah, it's
yeah, I think we need that because I can't look at it that way. I
No, and I
can't be like,
totally understand. Real quick, I actually have a question. Do you think comic book movies, superhero movies, are fucking up horror?
are fucking up horror. No, I think
Well, just in the idea, because when you're describing these remakes where they're bigger, they're stronger,
interesting.
they're beefier, they're more over the top. James Wan straight up like just left the Conjuring universe so he can make um, fucking Aquaman.
Yep.
So I'm almost wondering if this like hyper polished, dump as much money as you can into these genre films is like a repercussion of our insatiable need for men in spandex.
That's interesting. There's so many levels to that. I think it's hard.
It is a need.
Yeah, there's like
it's deep, right? You feel it. It's like right in the.
Awesome.
It's like right at the top of my thighs.
It's weird too because if you look at some old horror, like for example, let me bring up not Deep Star 6, that one sucks. What's Deep Rising, right? Look at Deep Rising, right? As far as horror, like late 90s, early 2000s action horror goes, that movie is really badass. So what I would feel is a lot of like modern superhero movies, squish down horror genre because so much crazy shit is happening, so many special effects are happening. You've got aliens looking fucking real, you've got the Hulk who looks fucking real. So like there's levels there that are doing something. And additionally, I think you're right where if let's say you're like a fucking like you said earlier, like a 12-year-old and you're watching the Avengers movies and then you go and watch Insidious, you're gonna be bored, right?
Well, it's not even Insidious. You're not even going to watch. Not even Insidious. It's something like a fucking, I don't know, like Feast or like.
Yes.
Feast.
Yes. Good one. I fucking love Feast.
Yeah.
Feast is a surprise. It's a nice treat.
Right, actually, but could you imagine like coming up in a world where all the movies you go to are not Arnold Schwarzenegger action movies and they're not fucking Mrs. Doubtfire, but they're, they're right, another grown man wearing another person's face.
Oh shit, that's like Leatherface right there. That's talking about levels here. There's a sub layer to Mrs. Doubtfire.
Yeah. Also about dysfunctional families.
Oh yeah, you're right. That is a horror film. Then.
Yeah. Yep. But yeah, just like if all your entire input of extracurricular media is fucking first person shooters, Avengers number 13. It's literally been going on for like people's whole lives. Like the first Iron Man movie came out in what, like 2004 or something crazy like that. So it's like in people's entire lives, and now you can't expect them to go and watch something like Feast. I guess is kind of what I'm getting at.
That would be amazing. I want to watch people react to Feast. I mean, oh shit. So
Yeah, get
sorry.
Steven's reaction to Feast if you can record.
So I guess in reality, I do watch people react to Feast because one of the things I do is I own all the Feasts, but I've never seen 3 because I need to watch it with someone, and nobody's seen it. So I make someone watch
I
Feast
haven't
1,
seen it
then we watch Feast 2,
Feel a group
and
feeling.
then we stop watching movies together, and I never see Feast 3. Hey, we got a bunch. Anyway, that's a good point. Consumable horror. Oh shit! I was also gonna say you have like the New Mutants, right?
Yeah.
That movie that might come out, and the New Mutants was billed originally as a horror movie, a superheroes in a horror movie. Like I think it was a thing. It was like we're gonna make a horror movie, not an action movie. But then you saw it get kicked around, and people were like, "This isn't gonna sell. You can't do this. People aren't gonna see a superhero movie, which is a horror movie."
Yeah.
So they refilmed it to be funny because Suicide Squad was funny and Deadpool was funny. So they refilmed it, and then they were like, "What the fuck are we doing?" So they refilmed it again, back to be kind of a horror movie, and now it's still not out yet, and it's been 3 years. So like that was an attempt to make. Honestly, I think they're trying to make a cheaper indier superhero movie, and horror is the cheap indie thing. As we just watched, Texas Chainsaw, which cost whatever it cost,
60
$60K.
grand. Yeah, is that what you said, Ron?
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah, $60K. That was it.
I saw an adjusted number in our monies. It's like 300,000, but that's still like nothing. Insidious cost 1.5 million. So even that, Insidious actually was only 1.5 million.
Yeah, that's cheap.
And it made 13. So like, there's a reason I think that they went pretty ham. And
But you're talking
Blumhouse
about the guys
didn't
that
exist.
made Saw. I mean, they're the kings of that shit.
Yeah. What was also funny to me about Insidious is that there was no Blumhouse when we saw Insidious. So like, there was no Blumhouse title card.
Right.
It was a collection of other things that would like cohere into a mass, right? And then
that's also weird too
become a
because
brand name.
yeah, I was trying to squish the whole mythos into a box, and Insidious falls outside of that. Annabelle and Conjuring and all that shit, they're supposedly in the same universe.
Insidious stands alone.
Insidious is not. Yeah.
It does.
Yeah, apparently it's
I wonder.
It's a pre thing.
Yeah, Insidious. There's Insidious 1, 2. I think there's a third one, and then there's like the Simon, the last key. I saw that one.
There's 4.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
they
actually,
oh my god.
Yeah, they don't actually tie into the Conjureverse. Did I use that correctly? Conjureverse.
Controversy. I believe you did.
Controversy.
It's basically.
But
I wanted to try to say something smart about Insidious. I have a lot to talk about Insidious because it's not super great, and things that aren't super great, I find are more fun to talk about. But like the camera work was the thing that I took the most notes on. The like looking behind the door, like. Right. We are Renee. That's all. That was like the smartest thing I had.
Yeah. The thing I noticed about James Wan specifically about the camera work is where he flips the house. In every movie he makes, he flips the house.
Oh yeah. Yep.
I don't know what that's about, but
he does a lot of panning shots too, like the one through the house very slowly. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the first panning like dolly to pan shot in Texas Chainsaw.
Oh yeah, that I was reading on that. They almost didn't get that shot where they originally the camera's kind of under her, behind her, and you see the house in the background,
on the swing, right?
Oh yeah.
And then as she moves forward, the perspective changes, which causes the house to loom upwards and become like over engrossing, which is fucking cool. Like that's apparently the most beautiful shot in the movie. But I think that kind of creativity is cool too. And yeah, you do see that more often in movies now with like artistic knowledge and perspective and all that stuff. Where before what it was in the 70s and stuff, it really is just sort of thrown in there occasionally.
Yeah. Hey, this would be cool.
it's cool to talk about the approach to the Sawyer house shot, right, and how the camera stops and she goes forward. Like we're like
we're not going there.
Yeah.
And a lot of Texas Chainsaw, the camera, like we are like we're just kind of like watching, and the camera is not super stable. Like it's not like a steady cam, and so we're like watching through some doors as like as the cook, father or whatever is like berating nubbins. Like we're like watching this family drama, and we like watch people get hooked to shit, and like we watch Leatherface like kind of have that freak out, right, where he's in the room with Bones,
Yeah.
and we're like far away. We're like deep in the kitchen, looking past the chainsaw, and so there's this kind of, like voyeurism, right, of Texas Chainsaw that Insidious doesn't really have. Insidious, we're part of the story, or we're just like a detached camera person. Like it's not as I don't feel as like in it. And with Texas Chainsaw, we are like
first person
watching this happen to people.
Yeah.
But we're not in the story, but we're like
your
living
role
the
doesn't
story
change. Yeah,
or
you're
something.
in Insidious. You do see some visual role changes, which I agree with. Where in Chainsaw, it's kind of static. You are sort of the same.
Yeah.
But we are a thing though. Chainsaw. Like we're not just like an omnipotent watcher. We're like a voyeur. It's this like
you're like the
unsteady
kid up the
camera
street that
and
knows
stuff.
about the Sawyer house and like snuck on the property, and you're just like watching this shit go down.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder. It's been a lot of years. I wonder who has written about who we are. Like, are we grandma? I don't know. Are we like the Sawyer? I don't know if this is the character.
Interesting.
Yeah. And I think there's probably something to say, Jason, you talking, I think about like the pan through the house, you and Billy, that starts Insidious. And Insidious is like a series of photographs of what turns out to be two houses, right? Like, we thought it was one house, but they moved. But we see the clock. It kind of like spoils what's going to happen, the footprint, there's the animation that goes on. So like, it's like a story about a house. And Texas Chainsaw is like the story about a house, sort of. Like they go to see the grandpa's house, but instead they go to a different grandpa's house. They go to Grandpa Sawyer's house. And so it's this like lineage of houses. And so Insidious is doing a similar thing. But then we get the line where she says,
because it's not the house that's haunted. It's your son.
Yeah, it's not the house that's haunted. And Insidious is like, it's not about houses. Like it's actually about like the family and stuff like this. And they like signal it. And Texas Chainsaw Massacre, we know, is not about the Sawyer house. Everything happens there, but it's about the family that's haunted, through cannibalism or something like this.
Right.
So there's like this setup. Both movies are like, here's a house, and we spend a lot of time looking at it. But the point is like the people inside. It seems like a lame thing to say, but like there's a lot of architecture in both these movies. That's kind of like a false front.
Yeah, James Wan actually intentionally made the first house super spooky and like used like green paint on the walls and stuff as like a red herring kind of thing, because when they get to the second house, it's actually super well lit and there's tons of windows and most of the scenes are shot during the day.
That's cool. Yeah, so totally. That's where I was going.
Yep.
That's another interesting thing about both of these movies is a lot of them take place during the like safe, lit up, secure daytime. So the fucking first time you see Leatherface, he's when he's chopping the guy's fucking head off with a chainsaw and he's putting her on the hook. There's a window with sunlight coming in, right? It's well lit.
It's like overbearing.
Yeah, it's almost a lot. And then same thing with Insidious. There's a lot of daytime security, which you don't usually see in a lot of movie genre. Everything puts you in that isolation, unknown zone of nighttime, and I thought that was interesting because it sort of puts you in more of a like a vulnerable, like you're not safe even in the daytime sort of a situation, which I noticed you don't see a lot at night. But then again, like the scenes with Leatherface at night, like chasing her through the brambles and stuff, and the scenes at the Sawyer house in the further are nasty. Like when fucking what's his name? She's pushing him through the woods and he's got the flashlight and he sees Leatherface run at him. I thought that was one of the most nasty, scariest scenes, like visual scenes of him in that movie.
He's like a wild animal coming.
Yeah, he rushes up, and there's nothing to do. There's nothing you can do.
Yeah, yeah.
Just comes right out of darkness.
Monster,
Yeah, 10 feet away, woof.
Yeah.
And,
all you can hope is if you're ever caught in that situation is you just happen to be related to a dude in a wheelchair and you just leave his ass.
and then you can just fucking run while he eats it, right?
Yeah. She feeds him to Leatherface.
Yeah, absolutely. That's probably why she's the final girl. She likes, that's the sacrifice. She survives, right? If we're gonna go cabin in the woods on this.
I'll say that I feel like bad for Franklin. Like I not like pity per se, but like Franklin is like the most developed character in Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So it's actually weird to me that he is killed so immediately. I mean he lasts for like 45 minutes or 50 minutes, so he actually lasts a long time. But yeah, unceremoniously and from behind. And he's just like, ah! And then he's dead. And that was Franklin.
Yeah, you don't even see the face shot. You're right. Yeah.
Well, you don't see him ever.
We don't.
Yeah, you don't see what happens really, because of course they were going for a PG rating. So there's literally like 6 ounces of blood in the whole movie.
And it's just like ketchup.
Yeah.
Arm ketchup.
I was also reading though, they said that they were actually, Franklin was the only character they were happy to kill off because the actor was he was using method acting so deeply that he was annoying the other actors.
So he was actually a pain in the ass.
Yeah, so when he was in character, they hated him, so they wanted him to fucking die. But
come on, Franklin. It's gonna be a fun trip. If I have any more fun today, I don't think I'm gonna be able to take it.
Yeah, you're right. As an audience member, you don't get insight to that. So it was very. I feel the same way about Friday the 13th kills that are faceless or behind the scenes. There's a couple that you don't even see. They just happen, and you see the dead body later, off screen, right? It's like fuck. That's like a wasted opportunity. But yeah, Franklin, that's an interesting character.
But I think another thing about Franklin is you talked about remakes, and I've been trying not to talk about the remakes of Texas Chainsaw, which I know a lot better than the original. So like the Jessica Biel one, I actually like a lot. And as it turns out, I didn't know this. It's Michael Bay produced it.
Yeah,
and I was like, of course.
That's why it's like, gratuitous butt shot after gratuitous butt shot.
Butt shot, giant robots, right?
I watched it 3 weeks ago, actually.
Oh yeah, I mean, I dig it, and when I was watching Texas Chainsaw this time, I mean, I don't know if I've ever seen the original and remember it, so I'll put that out there. So I'm watching it, and the whole time I'm thinking about what they did in the remake to like telegraph this, because there's the remake that remake really does echo like a lot, the hook, all this stuff.
Yeah.
Except it's like the payoff of 1974 happens in 2004. Let's say I don't remember. But but like they do the things which we don't get to see in the other one. But there's no Franklin, right? Like there is no guy in a wheelchair. There is no maybe someone is a brother, but like I don't remember any of that. Like they totally removed the invalid brother that she has to like care for and stuff like that. So now we have like kind of like sexualized couples, and they're like I think pot smoking fifth wheel. I think that's who Franklin is. And so like that was kind of weird. Of all the things to keep, the thing you didn't keep was what to me is a really like humanized element. Like I'm gonna keep harping about justice for Franklin, but anyway.
That's like Shelley from Friday. Is it 1 or 2? It's Friday 2, I think. It's weird, Harry, too, because I was talking to this a little bit in the chat the other week or whatever, where, for example, the Omen remake, right? If you watch that and you've seen both, that is a super loyal remake, not only in shots, plot, character, everything that happens, but even the new actors are mimicking the old actors so well.
From what
It's
I remember,
almost,
that kid looks weirdly similar to the original Damien too.
yeah, the kid, what's his name, who plays Lupin in Harry Potter? He does such a crazy good rendition of that original actor. And but for me, it like took away from it. It was almost too. It's like, why did you make a remake that was you didn't even have to remake it? Like you really just super remade it.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like
Well,
Psycho.
yeah. So it sort of like defeated the purpose. Oh, I forgot about the Psycho remake.
Yeah, Night of the Living Dead, 1990,
Yeah.
Night of the Living Dead, that Tom
Oh yeah,
Savini,
yeah, yeah.
Tom Savini directed.
Yes, with Tony Todd in it. Yep.
Yeah,
Love that
shot
version.
for shot, basically, shot for shot.
That's awesome. That's a good example. Maybe because it's in '90s. Again, back to that impressional, like when you're more impressionable. I didn't mind that remake, of course, because I hadn't even really seen the original at that point. But yeah, I don't know.
Somewhere down, I was gonna say somewhere down the line we can talk about like remakes more. I think I have a lot of thinking about them. I like remakes, and shot by shot remakes are somewhat fascinating because sometimes they feel like when they're truly shot by shot, I think it's pretty amazing. Like the movie Funny Games.
Yeah.
So Funny Games, right, is a remake of, I think it's an Austrian film, and it's shot by shot, and man, it's a great movie. And
Yeah,
like
it really is.
And I think there's some artistry in the shot by shot. It's like homage.
Yeah.
But then you have like remakes that are almost the same, and it feels like it falls short. It's like if it's not a shot by shot, then you're just kind of like ripping them off.
Yeah, it does.
I don't know,
It does
that's
sometimes feel like that, where it's just like, if you know, like with
Nightmare on Elm
the
Street.
yeah. It's like they didn't actually. You know what it is. You know what it. I just figured it out. The people making remakes like the shot for shots actually saw the movies, and then the other ones are made by the kids that were on the bus talking shit, saying they saw the Freddy movies, and they actually didn't.
Yep, that's got to be what it is.
Got it.
Yeah, that could be it. That's it. You got it.
Yep.
All right, guys, that concludes our discussion. Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Insidious. So onward to the Thunderdome. Xenomorph versus The Thing.
Welcome to another edition of Thunderdome!
Right now, I've got two men. Two men with a gut full of fear. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, dying times here.
I feel like Ron and I have talked about this.
Oh yeah, I bet.
Xenomorph from The Thing.
Dude, me and Steve Baruth almost got into a fight at the shop over it.
See, here's what's weird. Like the thing can replicate acid, or it can replicate organs that create acid. The main reason you would think a xenomorph couldn't be replicated by the thing is because they're full of acid. So, is the thing actually? I mean, I think what would happen is it's weird, man. It would either just like kill most of the xenomorph, and all that would be left is the parts that make a xenomorph that are acid and shit, and it would just use that. So
that's the fundamental question, right? Is that what we're breaking it down to? Is like, would the blood kill
acid blood?
The
and
thing?
I don't think, because I don't think that's the case actually. After I think about it, and in the Thing prequel from 2011 or whatever, you see out of the species that's already replicated and absorbed from different planets, a lot of them are insectoid, right? Which is what xenomorphs pretty much are. They're humanoid, genetically engineered, sort of like in exoskeletal insectoid hybrids. So we know the thing can replicate humans. It can replicate insects. I guess coming down to it, just because I love xenomorphs so much, I love to be like, oh, the thing could never take xenomorphs. It's probably got them. All they'd have to do is take a bite of it, and it'd be done, right? It would just replicate one or two or three of them. It's weird.
Yeah, I guess when you break it down that much, it's like almost like an impossible question, right?
Yeah.
My head
It's crazy. So like, okay, a better example will probably be the blob, right? So can the thing replicate the blob, which is basically an acidic jelly mass, right?
Right.
I don't think that would work. So that might actually dissolve because outside cells are getting dissolved. Maybe like if some of the cells from the thing survived, it could make another mass, which would be like inside of it, maybe make a separate blob, but not the actual. It wouldn't like absorb and replace the blob, I don't think, because that's kind of an acidic creature itself.
Now, does the thing actually absorb, or does it replace?
It eats your cells and then replicates them. So as long as it can get around your cells and eat them in, it can replicate them. But if it can't do that part, it can't get you or replicate you. So anything that's got a collection of cells that can be used. I mean, Jason Voorhees is a good example, right? He's either undead or he's a mutant, whatever. It would probably start absorbing him, and again. All right, hold on. I gotta jump something in there.
So we're gonna watch Ron's head explode.
Yeah.
Wait, where's my? All right, I'll pull up my Scanner's GIF. Actually, Jason, didn't you throw Scanner's GIF up on here earlier?
Yeah.
That was in the chat. So my buddy and I, Jason, we have my other buddy Jason. We have a lot of discussions about verses. He goes on the Reddits for verses, and there's a lot of shit that fanboys spew out, and there's a lot of random shit that people talk about versus. So, like for example, a good example would be Superman versus Goku from Dragon Ball Z, right? I don't know how up to speed you guys are on Dragon Ball Z, other than Harry, but at a certain point in time, like Goku from Dragon Ball Z, if he wanted to, he can destroy Earth with a sneeze. Like he's just stupid overpowered. If you go back into the golden age of like Superman, you can actually say Superman is that strong. He can actually blow the sun out with his breath. He could destroy Earth in 1 second just by blowing on it. Absolutely, like the sun is what 100,000 Earths. So Superman Golden Age can destroy Earth without a second thought. So there's like that stuff, but additionally, what this other factor happens, a lot of people don't take into account, is the world you're in, right? So let's say Sub-Zero versus Super Mario, right? Okay, totally. All right. So like you say Sub-Zero versus Ryu from Street Fighter, they're in the same sort of realm, they're in the same sort of worlds. There could be something going on there. In Mortal Kombat, there's a lot more fatality and deaths, and people take more damage and seem to survive more. You could probably say that as a factor would make Ryu lose, but Ryu could still win. Sub-Zero versus Super Mario. Now, if it's in Mortal Kombat world, the most Super Mario is going to do is jump up and down on Sub-Zero and maybe throw a fireball at him. No problem. Sub-Zero probably going to win. If it's in fucking Mario world, Sub-Zero is like an 8-bit creature that can get crushed and turn into a fucking coin. That can't happen in Mortal Kombat world, right? So for real, all he's got to do is jump on him there. So there's this arena thing, and Harry, this comes up a lot in Super Fight too, where conditions, conditions are a big deal. So so like for example, Dungeons and Dragons, there's this leveling system and power system with characters, and a lot of people like to take other genre characters like Marvel and put them into that system, and it doesn't work because they hit a ceiling where their powers in Marvel end, and the characters in D&D continue on. It could be more powerful. So like a level 100 fighter in D&D could destroy the Hulk with a pinky, right? Like they're so overpowered. Throw that character into Marvel, and again, the Hulk is like the strongest, one of the strongest characters there is. Like he's almost got indeterminate strength, so he could win almost against anybody, depending which version you're talking about. So, what were we going with, Jason Voorhees? So so if the Thing was in a Jason movie in Crystal Lake, where Jason is absolutely unstoppable after a certain amount of time, I mean, he would not be defeatable. He would probably he could get his ass kicked, but I think the Thing would end up losing somehow. It'd get blown up or burnt or something, right? But if it was in a Thing movie or in space, Jason would probably lose. The Thing would just dissolve him, right?
Right. Or he'd get a sweet metallic machete or a chrome machete, yes. And he'd freeze the Thing's head and shatter it.
Yep. Do some spacewalking.
That's right. Spacewalk. Yeah. End up back in Crystal Lake on Earth again, right?
Yeah.
Thing ends up in Antarctica again. Rehash, prequel, sequel.
Oh, shit. So what about we're talking like full grown Ripley xenomorph, right? What if we go to like Prometheus, or even the most recent Alien? What is it? Covenant?
Covenant.
Alien Covenant, where we see Prometheus too. We see the xenomorph precursor, where it actually doesn't it like on a cellular level mutate the human?
The white one?
Oh, you're talking about the neomorph, right? So depending on which, again, this is like getting into continuity and the mythos and what's canon. Generally speaking, if you go through the movies, the comic books, and a lot of media, whatever creature gets impregnated with an embryo from a facehugger, that xenomorph is supposed to take on at least some of the DNA of that host. If you throw that out there, like there's unlimited possibilities for different stuff. And the neomorph was actually supposed to be the one that came out of the what are they called, Harry? The architects. It was supposed to be fucking nuts. The Thing was supposed to be the engineers. Thanks, engineers. The Thing was supposed to be massive. And I don't know what they undercut it for the movie for some reason, but it was supposed to be almost queen size, I think, that comes out of those guys. But anyway, going with what they did do in the movies with that weird like cone skull. Yeah.
So in Covenant, they actually have like xenomorphs that look like xenomorphs, right?
Yeah, right.
Remember that?
Yeah, you're right. Yeah,
like
they're
evolves.
On the lifter, where they're flying on the Thing. They literally look like the ones from Aliens.
Yeah.
And then they explain that off as David engineering them, which is weird. Right.
Right, because he was building the eggs based on, and you fade out. Podcast is over. Anyway, no, he was building them based on Doctor whatever. Anyway.
All right, so we're gonna. I mean, this isn't for us to answer. It's for us to talk about briefly, and then we just fucking leave it on Facebook, and hopefully people end friendships over it. But
I don't think the Thing can absorb a xenomorph. I'll put it that way. I think the acid blood fucks it up. I think the acid blood ruins it.
Yeah, straight up, just. And then this, in thinking about this conversation, I thought about its the vascular system, the organs, all that stuff would then have to be, it would have to be able to hold acid that could burn through the hull of a ship. So like, there's a lot more going on there too that doesn't just deal with acid blood. I mean, it's obviously like protected from the inside, you know. Here's an interesting idea. What if a fucking facehugger gets onto someone infected by the Thing?
Oh, because that's all. Well, it's still acid. There's still acid blood. So would the embryo develop?
Absorb it. Can the Thing? I mean, I feel like if the Thing's gonna be able to absorb a xenomorph, It's gonna do it when it's like the little like baby chest burster.
Yeah.
That's probably the time. That's probably the time it would do it. Or maybe maybe the movie that works.
Well, Harry, if you're right, and the thing can absorb xenomorphs, and it absorbs some of the DNA of its host. If the host is not mostly absorbed, it'll still turn out like a regular xenomorph if it's human. But if the xenomorph is taking thing DNA,
boom,
which is like
fucking xenomorph. So now there's two things,
right? So like it could come out any random amalgamation of weird xeno creature. Like that's fucking weird. That's messy.
There we go. We got at least some sort of an argument here. So
no one wins.
Do you think either a face hugger impregnating a person infected by the thing would then spawn a super thing xenomorph crossbreed versus the original thing? That would be the fight, right? That's kind of what we're talking about. That would be the ultimate fight. Like the xenomorph would have to steal DNA from the thing to beat the thing itself.
Interesting.
Yeah. Okay. That's fucking crazy. Cool with leaving it right there. All right. Do you guys want to sign out here? And we never said our names. I'm Billy Harrigan. You guys can say your own shit. You can find me at Harrigan Art on Instagram.
Ron, what's up? I don't have any social media right now. I burn the internet now.
Cool. I'm Harry. I'm at Boss Salvage on Instagram. If you want to look at stuff I make.
And I'm Jason. At Jason N. Braun 78 on Instagram.
Yeah, follow Jason if you want to see his adventures of getting the sickest fucking tattoos ever.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
A lot of them, if not all of them at this point, are very horror related. So.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Like 85% of them for sure.
Yeah, unlike 85% of his body.
Yeah.
Nice.
And he's a fucking cyborg, so.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
They're on the inside too.
So well done,
Awesome.
gentlemen.
So good. What's next?
I don't know. I didn't plan a second episode. I kind of expected the world to end.
And done.
Yeah.